Just about there.
All right, it looks like we are there. It's saying content of this meeting is being sent to YouTube, so we live. I'm going to take that as confirmation. And let me just double check and make sure that's true, because I'm about to make sure on our YouTube channel that it's showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Before I do that, let me check. My bad. Okay, for the pause, y'all, but we are live. Yes. Okay, so
Hey,
we okay. So listen, it's Boom Bap Chat episode number 5 of this season. Y'all know it's October Elements, and we got Boom Bap legends in the house, Ilajide and Def Dee. I want to welcome everybody to the 5th episode again of this season of Boom Bap Chat. You know, I'm your host, Prowess the Testament. MC Till is here, but it's in a very phantom mode right now. So, but we're turning up the heat with an incredible show. You don't want to don't want to miss. We're honored to be joined by two legends and dynamic forces in hip hop: the illustrious Ilajide Def, the prolific Def Dee. These are two multi-talented artists. They're not just producers, they're skilled MCs and bridging the worlds of beat making, rhyming with this unmatched versatility that I said is really redefining the craft. Now, personally, y'all know me, and I like to talk about my boom bap history. And October is a significant month because over the years, it's given us iconic releases like Gangstar's Hard to Earn, Jizz's Liquid Swords, and Black Moon's Into the Stage, which we just had on last so y'all watch that. This was a major moment in October. But these classics set the standard for lyrical and sonic excellence. And tonight we got that same energy and dedication that drives artists like Ilajide and Def Dee as they push the boundaries of the culture. So Ilajide has been on fire this year, headlining Dally in the Alley in Detroit and Family Affair Festival in LA, along with the multiple other shows, including 4 in LA alone. Okay, so y'all getting something special today. And Def Dee has continued to innovate, balancing production and really thoughtful lyricism to keep the hip hop community on its toes. I want to jump in before we start to explore Take Delay and all the other amazing things that they're doing. Let's give a warm welcome to Ilajide and Def Dee.
What up?
We normally have the effects, but like I said, MC Till is, with the board tonight is on phantom duty. So y'all gotta make it happen in your minds. But start out kind of talking about influences of the city. Because we started out talking, it's funny, we were kind of talking about like Till is in Cincinnati, I'm here in DC. Seattle, Detroit background, but Def Dee, you've also spent some time in like New York, and now you're in LA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me, all of these places have rich musical histories. How have your respective cities and your backgrounds in those cities influenced your sound and approach to production and lyricism?
Yeah, man. Am I taking that one or are you taking that, Ilajide?
Yeah, you got to take it because you made the beats.
Oh, got you. Well,
too.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of inspiration is actually come from Detroit, because in Seattle, it's not like we're super West Coast LA, but we love LA music, West Coast music, and we love East Coast music, but we don't really have that identity, you know? And so first, like, I think early on, especially Dylan stuff, like really hit home. Growing up listening to jazz music all the time, Seattle had a big jazz scene. So definitely a lot of jazz, a lot of Dylan influence, a lot of Detroit influence. But then you see, with drums like New York, Primo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you go to the West Coast and we're talking like Madlib and Oh No and those guys. So just kind of a blend of everything, you know?
That's awesome. Okay, and Ilajide, I'm going to ask you too in terms of your content creation. And because you produce too, and it's also, I know not for this particular project, but I'm talking even overall, sort of how Detroit has shaped your sound, how other cities might be present in your sound.
It's it's really important now, like, because Motown is here, and that's like a big weight that I don't know, like a lot of people even like are privy to, but like having some shoes to fill like Dilla and Black Milk and Apollo Brown and just a lot of producers that came before me, as well as the greats like had George Clinton and Bootsy Collins was up here, and Marvin Gaye being up here, and Rick James being up here. And those are some of my favorite composers as well. It's just like how can I embody all of that in the hip hop? And I think that I'm doing a good job of what I'm taking from the past and like putting forth toward the future. Like LAZ called it a long time ago for the group CSF Backpack Subwoofer Rap, but this is like pocket jams. Like if I had to put a sound on what I make and what it sounds like, and that's exactly where it came from. Everything's in the pocket, everything's on the one, like the James Brown influence of the Revolution one and the funk, and that's exactly how me and Def Dee is really bridge everything together, because he's got the Detroit bridge as well. Like he studied up very well versed on Dylan and exactly how y'all said the East Coast and West Coast is like all over the place, because I got the West Coast vibe as well. Like, so it's a really great blend.
Yeah, man. But it's crazy also, dude, like just hearing Detroit music. And like I was saying, how Seattle didn't really have that identity. It was almost like I could click with Detroit because Detroit wasn't like boom bap or West Coast. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of a blend. So yeah, Slum Village, all that shit was an immediate hit for me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. I remember being in the Tower Records and picking up J88 as a kid and not even knowing what it was. And being like, what is this Conant Gardens place? Like, DC had, and then it's amazing now, right? Just being able to say, and Maureen, Ma Dukes is married to Tony, who's from DC. So it's right. It's always the wedding of, I feel like, of cultures, of cities. So I'm so glad that you all shared that it's not necessarily where you're making the music at, but where, all these influences that come in. And you talk about like Ilajide, you mentioned a lot of like funk and like real and soul influences. What about like early hip hop influences and how they shaped your sound as an artist?
I think my earlier memories of hip hop honestly are with more like a lot of Tupac, a lot of Biggie. Honestly, like that's just what I can remember as a kid. And Summer De La Soul, like the Buddy songs, like from a childhood. But then when I started to actually grow up and like dig and select my own music, that's when I really started to get into the Tribe Called Quest and the Slum. And before I even knew the tutelage and where like they were from and how much it meant, and then their connection to Tribe, those were my earliest memories in the hip hop. Like, oh, I'm in love with it. Like I remember listening to Little Brother a lot and not understanding why they called themselves Little Brother until I went even further back and then understood like they felt like they were students of Tribe.
Yeah.
Jungle Brothers, all of those people were like they feel like they paved the way, and that it says everything about exactly how it kind of shaped my group and who I am today. And all I actually just kept going further back. I was like, oh, I see what's happening. Like histories is really important.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Like Little Brother, yeah. And when you think about like, was that with the listening album, or was it a later album, or with the listening that you kind of started listening to?
I heard the Minstrel Show first, but I immediately went right to the listening. I went right back to it. Like immediately, like because I just needed more.
Yeah.
So like I found that one like, and it was just it was an immediate thing, because at that time I was 15 at that time. So I was online searching. Like this was before I could even like talk to people at school about it, because nobody knew what I
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember those days. I was on OK Player when Pooh posted that the early tapes of the listening in board, and everybody went off on him. And Questlove went in and listened to the album and was like, Ninth Wonder's a genius. And at that point in time, everybody went crazy, but it was like, no, y'all on him. So I remember those early beginnings. And I think about that as being like a way that it's kind of like a secret weapon of evolution of like nobody thinks, you know, we all have this origin story. But I wonder, as we're talking about that with origin story, like what is your, as you think about your styles and have how they've evolved over the years, how would you describe the growth in your sounds since your early years? Because I mean, CSF and before, and then Def Dee, you've got so much that you like, so many anchors in different ways. How would you both
Hmm.
describe your evolution?
I mean, in the beginning for me, it was definitely emulation. You know, it was all about like Primo. You know, if you listen to my first album with Law called Gravity, it was like super, super Primo. And then, you know, studying Dilla and stuff and Madlib and just seeing how these guys can go in any direction and sample anything, but you still know it's them, you know what I mean? And just trying to figure out what that is and how to stay original and stay hip hop and no matter what lane you get into, you know.
Yeah. And when did
Uh,
what at what point did you sort of get into Madlib? Was it like Antidote, or was it like what era? Was it the Quasi era? Like what was your uh
yeah, that's a good question. I think my introduction to Madlib was actually Mad Villainy, and then I had to do the backwards research, you know what I mean? Like you come up and you find these artists and then you realize, oh, I didn't know about this and that. But yeah, my brother, you know, he was 6 years older than me, so he put me on the Tribe and De La pretty early on. And then, you know, coming to find Dilla, even finding I found out about Dilla through Donuts. And then, you know, looking back and realizing like, damn, he produced like all my favorite shit, you know.
oh,
But yeah,
no, that,
that's a pretty common thread with Dilla from what I understood.
and Ilajide, how would you what would you say for your style and how it's evolved? Um, what would be that pathway for you in terms of the growth in your sound? Because you're still, I mean, I feel like there's a funk through line, but I could be just speaking on so
Right. So such a it's a complicated answer, but I'll make it easy. I through going back in the previous question that you asked, through me just going back through history and time of sampling and digging, I've gotten even closer to like one of the original artists, like Prince and Rick James, who I now study a little bit more than rappers, which I used to study like years and years ago. Then I used to study producers, you know, like your Ninth Wonders, Dillas, Primos, you know, all of those, Easy Mo B's, Eric Sermons, Templins, you know, just studied up on all of them. But now I've went back and I'm studying like how Earth, Wind, and Fire are writing their songs and how we're writing their songs, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
their heyday of the 80s and how the bands were constructing and I'm just growing closer to that. And that's where the funk does come from. It's like I'm in a whole nother school, it feels like. But also I have like a house bug because my music is a little housey, can get a
oh,
little happy.
Mm,
So it's like I'm all over the place in a way, but it all has an underlying theme of being like on the one, knowing that a
mm,
band can play that. I can now play a lot of my songs on piano and doing it acoustically. And so it's just like the growth is, I didn't even see this for myself. So it's,
wow.
it's crazy.
That's impressive that you can play all of that on. That's amazing. Yeah. Do you for both of you? This is a question around as we talked about digging. Like, do you prefer digging for samples, or do you find yourself leaning more towards creating original compositions these days? Since you're instrumentalists and you can do both.
I just there's such a magic in digging and like just getting a vibe with the record and feeling it and smelling it and whatever, and you go home and you drop the needle and you're like, yo, that's crazy. Like that feeling is amazing. As far as composing stuff, I mean, that's amazing too. But for me, it all started with the sampling, so I'm gonna put that in the forefront for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel like if you asked me a few years ago, I have a different answer. I
Exactly. Straight up. I feel like
always
I'm gonna have your answer in like 2 years. Low key.
everything always started with the sample for me. I don't want it unless it started with a sample. You know, that's the thing. But now playing the sample, I'm feeling like, oh, I can really utilize playing pianos and playing these samples to create my own samples, which is just where I am now. It's like, oh, this is how Pharrell made his own. But see, I will say that I seen Def D do some shit I never seen like other producers do. You know, even me being a producer, when I use a sample, you know, my style is I am a historian, so I want you to know where that song came from. I want you to hear,
Hmm.
you know, the original loop. I'm like that. Like I'm not like somebody who don't want you to hear where it came from.
Hmm.
I want you to hear like, oh, he flipped computer love or he did it. It's blatant as fuck, but he never did it that way. No, I never heard anybody do it that way before. Still, like in
Hmm.
plain
Yeah.
sight is how my style is of flipping samples a lot of the times if I'm not chopping. Def D, I'm not gonna put his sauce out there, but I never seen nobody take a sample and do it the way he's done it. Like, you know, and I got such an appreciation of like how he just said dropping a needle on it. Like he could turn something that ain't good, you know, or maybe it ain't a jam that's a sample into a jam on a beat. No, not saying I can't do it either, but it's the way he do it. It's like I'll call it textures. He's mastered the art of the text, and
Hmm.
him go in further on that if he wants to. But I ain't never seen nobody do that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we need to dig into that, to use the word a little bit
Hmm.
proverbially, but like I'm interested in digging into that because you know what, we talk about that. I have a thing that I call coffee breaks where I do the same thing, right? It's like understanding the intentionality behind what the work that you're sampling, because a person may have intended for this minor chord or whatever not to be resolved, and then this minor chord is sampled, is never, and it's resolved when you make it, and it's like people, there's this translation factor that happens. What is as you talk about textures, what does that mean for you? What does the textures look like, Def D, when you're flipping stuff? Because I had all kinds of questions on like this knee deep sample. I was like, oh, what Ilajide Def said, I've never heard it flip like that. But
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's all about, I don't know, keeping everything within the theme. Like, you know, a lot of people just take a dope snare because it sounds dope, but I might take like a shitty snare, but if it matches that texture, that sample, it just fits in there a little bit more like a glove, you know? I love doing that type of stuff. But like, you know, if you're painting on like a clean surface and then you use like a gritty paint on the clean surface versus if you paint on a dirty surface with like, you know what I mean? Like I just like to try and keep everything together. So at the end, it all sounds like maybe a sample or it might sound like a loop, but I just want all the characters to kind of be lined up like that versus, you know, hearing a dirty sample with clean drums on it or whatever. You
yeah,
know, everything's got to match up. And I think that's one thing I definitely look for in other producers is like how well their snare matches the sample or the hi-hat matches snare and things like that, you know. Yeah.
yes, I love that. And what I like, what I'm hearing is that you're like there's purpose and sort of distortion sometimes or clashing,
Yeah.
and there's also purpose when for it to be cohesive. I like that.
Hmm.
Um, what can you both tell me, as in terms of, as we're on this topic, about like what challenges do you face now today with all of the copyright marks and all this kind of stuff, with especially with streaming and the rise of digital production tools? What's that look like, the challenges? And like, so we just talked to the beat miners who were like clearing, these folks today have it so easy. You get on TrackLib and and like they were like, we had to call us states, and we had to what's the experience like for you when we're getting all these copyright strikes in today's market?
Go ahead.
And well, I mean, sometimes when I'm streaming and I'm playing music, you know, that's a thing because I do have a DJ notch under my belt where I can I'll play things live, and that's really a pain. But when it comes to sampling, I never really worry about it until it's a time to worry about it. And maybe that's not a great approach, but it just is, especially when you have to deal with copyright. If things are for promotional use, and I ain't gonna put my sauce out there, but that's what music is mainly used for, is this tool to sell other things.
Yeah.
So like, well, until that moment happens, I guess I don't even, when I was talking to my old publisher, he want me to clear every single sample, and it's like, I'm not gonna worry about that, because he reviewed things I would sample and be like, man, you went straight for it. You went straight for this Prince sample. And I was like, hey man, hey, DJs do these things in the club where they do these mashups, and they'll play original tracks that you heard before that we all know, but they'll put the new lyrics on it, and you just go crazy. It's nothing different than what I'm doing right here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when it comes to track lib, personally, or anything like that's like, free sample, I've never heard anything I wanted to use.
Yo, yeah, for real though. That's crazy.
Like, I usually sample music that I listen to, like that, and that's how my style can blend with something like that, because it's like, I can rap on this shit right here. If I was right here with Kashif, if he just stopped singing right here, I can go right here. Like, hey, if I was right there with Evelyn Champagne King, here go my part right here. I just figured out how to like, so for me, like, I'll be wanting to, like, that's where my lyrics and my vibe come from, when I'm listening to it, and I'm like, oh, right there, And Def Dee is able to create that vibe too when you make them beats. That's where, like, all that's like that perfect, like that glove that you just talking about. That's what makes
But how many artists would we not know about if it wasn't for hip hop, I feel like as a hip hop producer, it's kind of our job to tie in the past with the present, and I feel like it preserves our history. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about hip hop. I can't think of other genres that really be doing it like that.
Yes.
But as far as clearing the samples go, I mean, I feel like I haven't really had a problem with that, yet. I'm sure it's going to be a thing soon. But right now,
what?
it's just about making.
You never know. It's like,
Yeah.
sometimes I saw Bob James, and now that he's on the train, right? But I saw him live recently, and he was talking about a Ukrainian artist that he was mentoring. It was here because of conflict, he couldn't get home. And he was like, he put him on to a lot of stuff that it was like, this shit is so pretty. And I can't believe that something, Angela, turned into that, or like Nautilus became, and he was just so thrilled. And he was like, I'm so excited that I got a chance to be a pivotal part of the foundation. But he was like, but I was very salty in the beginning, and rightfully so, because I feel like my shit it's not pretty anymore. But it's like, it's a new pretty, and it's the neo pretty or whatever. It's like, we're at the texture. When you use that word, I was like, it's texture on top of that. It's still pretty. And he found the pretty in it, but it took somebody to introduce him to what was pretty. I wonder, when you're saying maybe everything is coming forth, but I feel like, how do you guys feel like around these new artists that are sampling like stuff that just came out like 2 months ago, stuff that came out last week? Jodeci, it's 90s stuff, it's interesting.
Yeah. I don't I don't know. Go ahead, Tez, take that.
Nah, man, I think it's just lazy. I hear these new songs are like the songs that, like, we already know what it is, and it's not too much originality, but just like he said, it's like, if it wasn't for hip hop, they wouldn't know, certain artists know about it. So I remember, I'll give you an example. One time for Pocket Jams, I was in a session with Golden from Radio Galaxy, and I had sampled Atomic Dog. And so he was like, man, so many people have heard this sample and done this song I think you should take this off the album, you know. And I was like, all right, I did for that moment. And then eventually, like once it came time for releasing, I decided against that, and I put it out anyway because I was like, in my generation, because I was born in the 90s, now that I'm an adult in the 2000s, like maybe, you know, it's going to reach some people that like didn't know because you're
exactly
a different generation, and that's probably why you feel that way. But like, you know, so I'm gonna use it. And so it like it's going viral on TikTok, like that sound of that album. Like that's one of those when people are searching for it, and I just be like, wow, I just be sitting back and I just be looking at it. Like every time somebody uses one of them videos, I just be like, you know, just to see it just continuously go around and around and around and around. I'll be like, yeah, I mean, it's like a catch-22 in a way. I just be wanting to see some originality with it. Like if you're gonna retake it and do it, like let me hear your spin on it. And that's what I love. Like that's what I love about the I Get Around joint that we use that you made in the backup joint, the Def Dee mix. How you were like, man, this ain't even my work, but it's like, look at the spin that I could put on it. And so the spin that I put on it got Shock G's account to repost it. It's got, you know, everybody kind of reaching out like, oh, it's got Questlove resharing it. It's, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, you know, yeah, like, because people want to hear something refreshing over something that they remember. You know, like it's almost like here's an introduction. Like we caught your ears, but now here's the spin. You know, like, and I just understand that. Like Novelist did it with Beats, Rhymes, and Life for Clear Soul Forces. That did big for France and Paris because it's like it ain't nothing like this. Beats, Rhymes, and Life. We own the night. He just said Beats, Rhymes, and Life from Tribe Called Quest, but us titling it Beats, Rhymes, and Life, everybody needed to hear. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're clicking on it now because we have familiarity with some type of hip hop. Like it's a great representation. So it just felt elated for Shock G's account to even reshare our shit. Like we just was right there up in your crib when we did that. And it's like, bruh, we got the stamp right there. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's great. I didn't even know that. You just broke that to me. That's crazy. That's what's
up. It happened while I was there. I was like, because I hate to put you out there, but you was like, bro, you sharing this shit. It's not even finished yet. And I was like, bro, we need promo. And sure enough, like Shock G and it was like, boom. I'm like, bro, we up. That's bro. Crazy. We got the stamp right here.
That's wild.
That's amazing. Like what I'm thinking, like it's there was a fresh use of samples. I was like the Love Roller Coaster joint. I forget the name of that, but that one hit me because I was like, yo, like it fit, like you said, it feels comfortable. It feels but then it's like it gives me refreshing. It gives me like it's a little different. And I like the fact that you did it. We're gonna get into tape delay, like that you mixed when we talk about textures, like you really took and mixed funk and jazz, and then you mixed the boom bap with it, and you mixed like coast. What was the specific like approaches as you were thinking about transforming those samples and making them your own and the vibes?
I don't know, just make it funky, you know? And I feel like that's just gonna translate regardless of what you sample. If it's funky and it's dope and it just makes you feel good, I feel like the rules kind of just subside a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
You can make all these rules like, oh, you can't sample that, but then you hear some shit that's like, oh, he sampled that and that's fire. I want to listen to that. Kind of the way it goes.
And when you know what, my favorite track, because I'm looking at Ilajide Def Dee, Your Hair. I'm sorry, but it's beautiful. And my favorite track.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Because I mean, what a journey! It's an autonomy anthem to me, but it's also kind of that takes homage to like the Solange thing. It's a powerful message, but from your perspective of like it's almost like a look friend more than just my hair. It's like respect my frequency kind of a vibes that I'm hearing you talk about in there. What was the inspiration behind it? Because I feel like it's another story than just don't touch my hair. But what was the inspiration behind that, Dre?
Oh man. When well, there are two things. From when I heard the beat, I just knew I knew it was time for me to have like a sit down talk. That's like that beat of that horn is given like it's like somber, you know what
Mm.
I'm saying? In a way, like
Mhm.
gives that like, but it's almost like very infectious.
Yeah.
Uh, so I feel like this is an opportunity for me to like kind of get some shit off in a way,
Mm-hmm.
in a like lighthearted way, you know. Not like I'm not trying to bash, but I do as an attractive young black male who got my hair done all the time. I have to say a lot of the times, don't touch my hair because you can't do that shit. And that is usually my follow up. Is like you can't do it, so I don't need you trying to like, like that. I have a thing about that. I sleep with my scarf just like people ride in the car with their seatbelt on and don't feel normal without it. Like I gotta
Mm-hmm.
have a scarf on. So it is a personal space thing for me. Like I don't want to come for my black women, but from since inception it's been like don't fuck my hair up, don't touch my shit, I just got it done.
Yeah.
Don't. And once I started getting my hair done, I understood that whole like, oh no, don't I can't afford for you to mess it up, but because I'm a boy or
Yeah.
because I'm a man, apparently it's supposed to be like it doesn't matter. It's like no. So it's
Mhm.
like I'm not one of those men who feel like, oh, I want you frolicking through my hair. That's something special. That's something intimate. That's something that is reserved for somebody that I feel like, it's like, no, don't be just doing that. And I had to get speak my little one too, because everybody else might tell you, yeah, girl, yeah, touch my hair, yeah, beat up on, blah, 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 blah. And maybe that's why they so like, ooh, like, and I
Yeah.
gotta be like,
You gotta make the correction like that. What I felt that. I felt it was also like for me, it was like just a personal space. And then I felt like there was a moment where you were, oh, like I said, it's like my frequency, like this is sacred. And I really connected with that. Like outside of just I'm like, I just went to the Dominican salon yesterday and had a blowout. So I can't be having, find immediately, but I can't have that right now. Listen, we gotta be respectful. Um, and that makes me think about too the process for sequencing. Because I just re-listened back to the album, Till did too, and we had different approaches. I'm sure of how I like to listen to the album straight through, but then I go backwards, and then I do like the random sequencing. But there seemed to be an intentional process with your sequencing. Maybe I'm wrong, but and how you ensured like it's like the energy seemed to build in a way to keep the listener engaged. And when you called it the
Mm.
jammies, I was like, was there a purpose with like the soundscaping and the sequencing of how y'all did that part?
I think you kind of orchestrated the track list, and then I kind of gave it the cosign.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
She pretty much hit it though. Like that's exactly what I set out to do. Because in a way, it's like an introduction to like what we are calling like almost like this new genre or whatever. So I wanted to show range without losing, um, that steam. So it was like, how can I start us off at a point where we can keep going up? And then when it's time to like kind of take that break, it makes sense. It's like, and then now we
Hmm.
can keep going. So I went through like listening to his beats and just listening to how everything felt, and I like it's a ride, and so I'm like, what's the best way to go on that ride to where I'm going up and I'm going down, but I'm going back up and then I'm going down again, and so I know that by the end it's short and you want to go on that ride again. It's like, so when Def Dee, I don't want to speak for him because he might tell you or attest to me saying he felt like we need more jammies. We need more, like it need to be longer. And
Hmm.
I'm thankful that I have that feeling of I gotta hear it again. I want to run it back.
Yeah.
Like run it back, because I know if I got that feeling, I know other people are gonna have those feelings of I wish it was longer. Like when I go on my YouTube page, when I look at tripping and some of the things some of the fans are saying the same things, like, oh, like this is so refreshing. I want it to be longer. I want it to be longer. That gives us exactly what we need. Keep going.
Exactly.
Yeah. Any comment on that, Def Dee, or?
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty much the mastermind when it came to picking the beats and the arrangement of the beats. I think I don't know how many joints that we have that we made on the spot. I know we made Trippin' on the spot. There was a couple of joints in there that I kind of had in the library that he was like, "Yo, we got to use these," and yeah, and then it all came out pretty solid together in one piece. I was pumped on it.
That's dope. I feel like I have seen the more bling. You mentioned maybe Ilajide Def. I saw something that you were like, that was the joint that like stood out for you immediately. Was that the beat that like you were like, that's the joint I got to record? Or what was the idea that what was the sequencing of the ideas or whatever as you were kind of starting out the planning for the project?
Well, yeah, that one is a hard answer. You put me in positions where I gotta call Def Dee out, because Def Dee
Oh no. Okay. Well,
would
No, go ahead.
No, like it's like Def Dee he got so many beats.
mm-hmm.
So many beats, man. Like I'm just sitting here thinking about how many beats I would have had, but like certain beats not available. You know what I'm saying? Certain beats he got plans for. Me being a producer, I know what that's like. I got beats that is like, no, this is my beat. So it's like trying to navigate those were very hard, because I could hear myself on everything. And I was like, I could hear myself on all that. I was like, oh, I can make this type of joint, this type of joint. But before I went out to LA, we already had Live from Jump, because he sent me that instrument.
Okay.
Right? But when I got to LA, it was almost like whatever I could get my hands on, I was going. He didn't know this at the time, but I was like, because I came out there, I'm crashing at his crib. He could tell you we was up to 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I'm writing, recording. I'm like, let me redo it again. Let me redo this one again. He was like, yeah. I'm like, let's go. Let's go. Because I'm just there. He would throw something on. I got like 4 or 5 songs that to beats that he just switched, because I was like, okay, he switched that beat. But I was just writing. Like, if I could finish it before he switched the beat, I'd be like, hold on, check this out.
Yeah.
But that was like more of my recording process. But like, to answer your question more specifically, for me, the beat that did it was the backup Def Dee mix beat. That was the beat that I was like, oh man, like I felt like that was the battery that was just in my back for this whole project. Like Def Dee will tell you like how
that's a cold beat.
That beat. And he was like, nah, we not using this. I was like, nigga, I'm gonna go home right now.
Yo, because
home right now. That for me, I was like, I was having a meltdown. I feel like I might have even threw a tantrum right then and there. I was like, oh, you're not pulling that switcheroo.
Yeah, no, you definitely had 2 tantrums. It was that one and the more bling joint. Because the more bling, like we were talking about with the samples and like what's off limits, what's on limits, whatever. And I made that beat in 2016 kind of as like a homage, like on my Instagram. And then I sat on it for a long time. I didn't really have any plans on putting it out. This dude comes through and I accidentally play that shit. And he freaks out. He's like, yo, I gotta use that. I'm like, bro, I don't even know. And then, once we started working on it, it just felt so good. It was like, we gotta put this on the tape. It was like that.
That talk about accidental intention. Like it's just like, it's purposeful, but it's accidental. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And there was a layering process for the drum programming. How do you achieve that impactful type of sound? Like, what do you set out to do that with like, what is that?
I don't know.
technique to you? Like, I just was like, this is so fucking amazing. Like, just, yeah.
It's weird, you know, I feel like the process is always changing and it depends on the sample, it depends on the mood. Everything is always changing. I feel like there's no real specific process. And the quicker that I lose myself in the process, the more fun it is and the more exciting it is. Just being able to black out and like sometimes making beats late at night and then waking up in the morning and going to your computer and being like, oh shit, I made this last night. Oh shit, I have like no recollection of making it, you know? So when it comes to the drums and stuff, it really just, I don't know, work on it till it sounds good. I don't really have any, you know, process with that or layering like that. But actually, you know, keeping the drums in line, use I try to use breaks and then I, you know, try and find those sounds that match well with each other and try and keep it sounding like a break, you know?
Yes, that I love that. That is
Mhm.
that's gorgeous. Like that's the word that it was lush. It's very
Mm.
lush. Um, so yeah,
Thank you.
love the
Thank you.
aesthetic of that. And then talking about beats, I wonder if we can pivot a little bit. Beat battles. We just had Mark Cooper on here a couple of weeks ago.
Hey,
Okay.
And I think about the beat battles because Detroit is the beat battle capital. I'm like, there is so many, and Ilajide, you have taken a belt in the beat battles. What's the experience? Because I feel like Mark has always kind of told me a little bit, give me some secret sauce. So like, it's a style to battling. Like you can't just. It's the way that you sequence the beat. It's got to hit in that first minute. It has got to have all the ingredients wrapped in. What's that vibe for like battle? What's it like first?
well, for me, I'm not a seasoned champion beat battler. I'm just a champ. Like I just came away with the belt because I know that it's just so hard for me to answer without being disrespectful in a way to anybody. But it's like, all right, I'll put it more like this. When I first started coming up in the game, I lost every beat battle I ever attended until I started just composing, right? I'm like, man, fuck that. I'm going to make beats for like songs and people and like, this is what I'm going to focus on. And so like, I got the call from Uncle P a few times, like, and I wasn't able to make the one that Mark Cooper won. Shout out Mark Cooper.
Shout out Mark Cooper.
I was actually in LA with Def Dee this year.
Oh wow, okay.
But I had originally won Producer of the Year 2019. Uncle P had put that call in.
And I was there for that, oddly enough, which is weird.
You were there for that.
Yeah.
And then like not too long after that, he called me again for the beat battle. And not to disrespect nobody, but it was the easiest cakewalk I felt like Uncle P knew what he was doing. And when he called me this year, I felt like everybody is so lucky that I wasn't able to make it this year. And they probably should not call me next year because I might just be a little bit out of the league because it's like I was able to play beats that where I didn't have to prepare for it. It's like when you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's like Def Dee, you could win with some shit that you made, like how he just was mad that he made that shit in 2016. And I'm like, nigga, this shit is cold. Same shit for the beat battle. It's like I made this a long time ago, but I never used it. In the beat battle, whoop, it, bam, pop, 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 pop. And I ended up playing like a Shaka Khan remix, and niggas got up and started ballrooming, and I was like, it's over. I ain't never seen nobody ballroom at a beat battle before, but that's what you get when you fuck with me. Like I'm gonna get people dancing, and then it's all. Oh, how did that even happen? Like,
yeah.
So it's like
a big energy, and Aunt Belle is on here being like, yeah. Aunt Belle, that's fam, and Mark Cooper is on here.
Aunt Belle. Aunt Belle did this shirt.
Oh,
what up, Aunt?
Yeah, Aunt Belle did. I remember he did the Def Dee joints too. The
Okay.
Oh yeah.
with the Ilajide Def Dee
Yeah.
character sex screen.
I love
Okay.
that. I love the energy of everything you said too, because I'm like, yeah, Detroit is like y'all got heavy hitters, of Modi and Blizz, and like all these just amazing.
Now Blizz, now come on, yeah, Blizz, he got this beat. All right, keep going. Yeah, that's the homie right there.
Yes, so we talked about we didn't talk about, I'm sorry, Scam Jam, which got Book Brown on the joint, and who's one of my favorites. How do you approach, or how did you approach collaborating? Because it's like she's the only guest on here, right? Like, was that intentional as well, or is she fitting, because she fits so nicely into the overall soundscape?
It actually was, and I just wish I would have communicated it to Def D beforehand. But I knew, like, at that very end, when we were like at that end of like knowing something was missing, and I heard that beat, and you told me about Gifted Gab. I was like, all right, I got one. You know what I'm saying? This
Oh,
would be good for me and Book Brown, because I already have been wanting to work with her. Like, this is Detroit, so I see Boog all the time. Like
mhm.
that's like bam. She done seen me. She done been on the other side of the stage too many motherfucking times, if you ask me. If you picking up on what I'm putting down, like, nigga, we
Yeah.
need songs together. So I'm like, get your ass over here, because and it should be the same way when she rocking. Like, and what I mean by that is not just like, let's get a song in. Let's get a song in that we're gonna want to do. It's like, it's a jammy. It's like, I'm gonna put her on one of the. I got this belief system of, when I make beats, you can give somebody a beat that ain't a slapper, or you could give them a hit. And if you give them a hit, go all the way, do the hook, get on it, and then be like, yo, here, what you think about this? I just literally started doing that. So this is the concept that I took for Scam Jam, because I know Book Brown's music. And so I was like, let's do this. When I sent it to her, she was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. Like, I don't get to do shit like this. I'm like, yep, I know.
Mhm.
I know. That's the producer in me. Like, I didn't make the beat, but I knew, like, certain people need, like, something that, because when we done been on so many bills together. It's like, I can't wait till we do that now. Like, where we can do the crossover episode. If that makes sense. It's like, because she's an excellent wordsmith with her. Like, every time she rap, it's like spoken word, open poetry. Every time it's so soft. It's like, I'm about to I'm about to talk to you. So having that upbeat, like hype joint, and having her come on there and smooth it out was all I needed. Like, and I just hope that Def D messed with it. He liked it, so I was like,
Yeah, man, she's one of the first artists I remixed on Mello when I first got signed with them. So, you know,
Oh
history,
yeah, she's
full
on that.
circle
Yeah,
stuff.
I just thought about it. She's on that album. I just went back to listen to that Mellow joint. That's why I was
Hmm
like, so, like, why? So, yeah, I love
Yeah.
that's a dope joint. Yeah, I was like, that they need to re-release that joint immediately on vinyl too.
hmm
And I was going to ask y'all about that for future plans. Any plans for like um for for vinyl, or that you're going to put this on anything on any other platforms?
Yeah. Ilajide got something in the works, you know.
now you can. I
Uh,
mean, you can tell them, man. We got, yeah.
do we have a date yet on that?
We don't have a date, but it's gonna be
Okay.
soon. Like, we talking in a couple of months type soon. That's pretty soon, Which,
Okay, cool.
but
Yeah,
got a confirmation that it's been sent off for pressing or printing.
beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah,
So
so we got some vinyl on the way. I'm really
Awesome.
excited about that. Nothing feels
Yeah.
better than spinning your own vinyl for the first time, you know. Love that.
Yes, is the drop the needle moment that you talked about, like that.
Exactly.
That I listen to new music like that.
Mhm.
Like, and at the same time, I'm like, I was listening to Mecca and the Soul Brother yesterday, and it's a moment, right? When you get
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
just like it starts. It's October for me. That's all. It's CL Smooth month. As Libra is his.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Every
Mhm.
time I put on Mecca and the Soul Brother, I jump right to the main ingredient. I don't know why, but I just jump right over because it's just, I don't know, it may be because it's a little shorter, but like I
Mhm.
love it. And then I'll be like, I just jump right over.
I feel that.
I
I
love both of them so much. Like, oh, I wish they would.
Mhm.
Uh, ooh, I wish.
Yeah, we won't we just put into the atmosphere that what things happen. We never know what may happen in the future. Like, you know
Yeah.
we never thought. I for one didn't think Preem and Nas would have, but like, hey, they made joints, so a new joint, so we never know what's coming
Yeah.
down the line. What for anything in particular? Because I want to sort of talk out now about like what you got going on in terms of because I saw Elijah Day, you got a lot of videos that you're doing, and then Def Dee, you got some stuff in the pipeline. What's coming down the pipeline for both of you? And the special show maybe coming to Seattle?
Yeah, we got a show coming up in November, towards the end of November. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yay.
Um, as music goes, I know me and Elijah Day got to do another one. We can't just be one and done like that. And then
Yeah.
I'm working on my solo thing, and I'll be rapping on that. And Elijah Day, gave me a lot of confidence in that. So that's my next project that I'm trying to wrap up.
I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, I can't wait to hear that. And I like
Me
it. What,
too.
yeah,
He just
many things going on.
he being coy. He just put out the D mixes volume 9 too
Oh, yep, yep.
on
And I think
SoundCloud.
I think I gotta chill on the remixes, man. I've done so many volumes, but they're so much fun, bro. Like even going back to the digging thing, like just finding the singles, and finding the one with the acapella on it, bringing it home and remixing that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of been like a day one thing. But
I feel like I
yeah.
need to go back to a quick question that I missed, which was like how y'all came together. Because I know you're producing on Metal Face Hokage, right? Def D, you're
Mhm.
producing on that. Did you produce some stuff on CSF too?
Yeah, I don't know which tape that was. That was the second to the last CSF tape. And
Yeah.
I produced all of the Metal Face Hokage with Novelist.
Yeah,
Um,
that brilliance. Like that was super dope. And as a
oh,
nerd,
thank you.
just
I
yeah.
was
And
supposed to
But
have some of them beats.
but yeah, so I met Novelist
from here,
through knowing the Ninja, actually. That's how I met
um,
Novelist, and I think I met Elijah Day through Novelist when we did the collabs with CSF. Um, I don't remember what year was that. What year was that, bro?
20
Like,
what 2018?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then 2019, I came to Detroit. Yeah,
wow, that's awesome.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, I was wondering how because you just it feels so seamless when y'all work together. Even in the interview, I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, y'all just feel like y'all have known each other forever and you could have grown up together, whatever. It's very
yeah, yeah.
it's a connection. So I love it.
Hmm.
I've been
It's
keep
weird
you
how that works. It's weird how life works, like growing up loving Detroit music, and then it's like boom, I'm music with Detroit artists, and it's like everything just feels full circle. Love
yeah,
that feeling.
yes. I love that. And I don't want to keep you a long time. I know we're at about coming up on an hour, but we do this thing on before we wrap up. I want to get a chance for Elijah there for you to tell us what you got going on next, and all the things happening, and then we're going to do one word challenge. It'll be real short, but we'll give you an album, and then you give us both one word for that album. But Elijah Day, tell me what you've got coming up next too.
Okay, what I got coming up, I've been like I said earlier, I've been religiously playing piano for like the last year. I just picked that up, so that's become a big part of what I've been doing. But I'm working on Pocket Jams too. It's done, but I'm more so worried about rollout. I think that what I'm working on has a big tie-in to a question that you asked earlier, as far as digital aging and how do you battle that? Because I have like having a lot going on can be bad, but it's also can be good because you constantly have something to talk about. So when sharing the same video or sharing the same thing about the album or like tape delay, you could get swept up in the algorithm. And if you are able to like divert it to something else that's new, it's almost like you get rewarded because, social media and digital shit is like gambling. That's what I attribute it to, or that's what I compare it to. It almost feels like that because you're sending it off, you're seeing how it falls within. Did you write the right things? Did you send the right combination in? Da 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 da. So I say all that to say that it's done. It's just I'm gonna start rolling it out just a tad bit after tape delay, and then I'll be able to boom, here we go with vinyl for tape delay, and then it's Pocket Jams vinyl, and then it's like this and then. So you keep on talking about something different, but you're able to continue to hit them. Like every time somebody sees me, they're like, "You've been working so hard, you're so busy." And I just be like, "Oh my God, I don't even feel like that. I feel like I'm like I haven't done enough because I've been done,
right.
but it's that concept. So I will be rolling that out pretty soon. I was looking about some physical distribution, but look like we got our own physical distribution. So rollout's about to be coming soon.
Oh, I love that. Well, you heard it here. I feel like we have gotten some amazing like drops. People, we've got exclusives. So I hope y'all go and are following and actually go buy and participate and join this. So listen up and go follow. If you don't follow their platforms, go follow them. Do you both mind just dropping your socials and where people can find you real quick? So while they're live.
Yeah, you can find me anywhere at Dominic X Michael on Twitter, Instagram. That's pretty much where I'm at. I'm not even really on on Twitter like that, but Instagram, yeah, that's where I'm at.
And you can follow me at Ilajide everywhere. It's funny, my things say IP3. That's the name of my iPad, but ILAJIDE everywhere. Very easy. A shout out to MCTL. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man.
Prowess. Look.
Yes. Thank you so much. And so, well, we have a couple seconds. I want to do maybe a few of the albums. We had Ilajide Def provided a list of these classics. I want to give a word, or you to give a word in response when I name these albums. So I'm going to start with Fantastic Volume 2 by Slum Village.
Okay, and what words are like? I'm just the first word.
Any word, and it could be a word. We've had Rita J was on here from Chicago, and she was the first person to give like an onomatopoeia thing. She was like, or like, or so you could whatever emotion. It could be emotion, or it could be a word.
Okay, Fantastic Volume 2. Raw.
And what would you say?
Perfect. I bumped that album so many times. It's insane. It's one of my favorite albums. Yeah.
And let's say Muddy Waters by Redman. Now it's Muddy Waters 2 coming, but we'll see. I don't know. So Muddy Waters.
Classic.
It's a timeless record. Absolutely.
Both good words. Let's say Stakes is High. De La.
Important.
I was just trying to think of the word to say like that. Like I almost want to say pivotal.
Oh, these are good words. I try to keep like some of the words that are that come up that I'm like, oh, these are such good words to see how other people, because it's interesting what people will say. The Chronic, Dr. Dre.
Groundbreaking.
Mm.
Mm, yeah. Uh, I want to say pristine because those mixes are bananas to this day. It's like so crispy, so clean.
Yes.
He
Yes.
knew what he was doing, man.
Brilliant engineering. And on Dog Pound too, which never gets the credit for engineering, but I'm like, not only is Daz gentle with that, but it's like the mentorship. That album is also pristinely mixed.
Hmm.
Um, what would you moment of truth, Gangstar?
Mm.
Yeah. Give me a second on that one.
Okay.
I
Mm.
mean, gritty,
That
honest,
Honest.
you know.
Yeah.
That's Guru in general. Just I get that honest vibe from him all the time. Just always kept it real, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
this one is this one is hard.
I can come back if we can do another one, another couple. Want me to come back?
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Okay. I'm gonna pick Shades of Blue by Madlib.
I'm trying to think of better words than just like complex or
You know,
complicated or
yeah, you know
like
what
it's
I'm
just a disservice, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Complex is a pretty good record. The choppage, the layering, yeah,
yeah,
it's yeah.
yeah.
I always say, wow, that one's a good one. Yeah, she got me stumped because Shades of Blue is it's like it's like another world.
Mm,
It's like multi-dimensional.
Ooh,
hmm.
that's a great, yes. That's a great, yeah.
Hmm.
Complex and multidimensional
And I don't mean to piggyback off what you're saying, but it's like, how can I convey like how different it is, right? But
Mhm.
like how like close it is to actual jazz music. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
it was like Madlib is like an artist, you know, genius with
Yes.
that shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
real musician.
Yes. And then the last three here, donuts, word for that.
I mean, to me, that album is just genius. Like, I guess I would just use genius, but I mean, when we talk about flipping samples, right? Like Stepson of the Clapper, bro. Like I
Mm,
remember when I first bought that CD, I was listening to it, and this is before I was really like really up on all the breaks and stuff like that. But like you hear that break all the time, and
mhm.
then you hear what Dilla did to it, and it's just like these kicks that come in, and there's nothing really crazy with the chops going on, but it's just how Dilla added those little pieces of percussion, and it just hits so different, you know?
Yeah.
And that whole album is like he's taking, you know, stuff that we know and just flipping it, but flipping it in such a tasteful way where you still know where it's from, but it's still so funky and original. You know what I mean? It's just this super crazy balance of simple and complicated. And it's like that's the magic right there. That's really hard to capture. Like, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
mine's pain.
Mm.
Mm,
I gotta get my dog out of here. Get out of there soon. Yeah, I think that I can hear the pain.
a
And
lot of
Yeah.
pain.
not even I think that you just know what's going on
Yeah.
and that he was sick making it. I can hear how much he was going through even just hearing it. When I hear it, it makes me sad. It does because I just know like he was talking to you and telling his story through those beats right there. Like
Mhm.
you can hear it, like through his progression and like how he was making music to like, all right, here's where I am, here's how I can make something that lasts forever. But it was like something that nobody can ever replicate, you know.
Yeah.
Right. And
Nobody.
I feel like it's also something that got better while you were learning more context with Dilla. Like
Hmm.
when I was listening to more Dilla and then going back to Donuts, it would make Donuts sound better each time. Like, damn, how did you? That's crazy. And just seeing that growth, man, it's like it's trippy to this day.
Mm.
Yeah, I love that you both and really encapsulated that. And I'm like, and you think about the innovation because now what we can do with equipment is so different. And it's just like in 31, it's just it's to me, it's just I always use like that's a cultural behemoth. It just changed temperature. Um, what I'm gonna say street songs by Rick James.
That's Elijah Day right there.
Yeah, you know that. You know that. I did I put that?
No, but I was like, it feels like,
That's like street songs is so it's so classic because it's you got like Rick James taking Prince's synthesizers from him from the Fired Up tour and making that album and then sending them all his shit back and with a thank you card and then just coming out with like the songs that he made on somebody Prince's instruments. It's dope, just from that little backstory alone. But the song structure, Ghetto Life, Fire and Desire, Call Me Up, Give It to Me, Baby.
yeah,
I've been like how you can basically use the same drums, same bass guitar,
mm-hmm.
the same singers, and you got all these different songs that sound totally different.
Yeah,
It has underlying themes though, almost like Pharrell, almost like Dr. Dre, and then so almost like Prince. So Rick James is also one of those people like that. This is my staple sound, and that album really like dignifies like that staple sound. Boom, 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 like all that funkiness. So
yeah.
Word.
I love that you said that, and I feel like there's a charisma, which is why I mentioned it because I'm like I feel what I feel like sometimes is missing from hip hop. People are afraid to have that charisma, and I feel like you channel a lot of that charisma. Like we need that in hip hop. It's so important. So
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta be fearless, man. Elijah Day is fearless, and like people are gonna hate you for you, and they're gonna hate you for trying to be someone else. So
yeah.
you might as well just do your shit, you know?
yes, I love
Yeah,
that. That's such a listen, that is a mode I feel like we should go out on because everybody has talked about the need for authenticity. And that is right. That is something that, especially as we're losing so many of our greats, I just call was a big loss for me,
mhm.
and so many people. I mean, for our whole culture, but it has been
Yeah.
hard. But I thank you both for. Should I go back real quick and just ask? Did we want to put a pin in? Was it Moment of Truth?
Oh yeah. So I couldn't like any other thing than fresh.
Okay, that's yeah. I will take that because that was definitely yeah. Thank you so much for playing with us. Usually MC
Sure.
Till has the like library of everything on vinyl and is like holding it up. I don't have the library on vinyl yet, but it's coming. I will forecast it. But I thank you both for spending your time with us tonight and for giving us so many gems and everything that you're doing. But this is part of the show. We try to do, shout outs just for folks that have tuned in and said what's up. Rap Camp is here. Frem is here. What's up, Frem? Is the whole team is here supporting y'all. So
What
any
up?
you want to
What
give?
up? That's crazy.
That
Yeah,
is crazy.
shout outs to you guys, man. I can't see who's I'm just on the phone. I can't see who's viewing this, but shout outs to y'all for coming through and watching this and
Hey,
having us. Thank you.
Rap Camp.
Yeah. Rap Camp sent me over your EPK, which was beautiful. And I was like, yeah, so
Let's go. All
yeah, I
right.
was getting ready to say before we start, be nice to me because Kilo's my friend. But but you all are amazing. So yeah, you treated me with such kindness, and like I said, it was me just by myself, and you guys were just amazing. So thank you so much. But take your shout outs and all the props you want to give.
Yeah, man. Shout outs Ilajide Def Dee, shout out CSF, shout outs 96. When you guys get a chance, man, definitely go check out the crew stuff. Rick Reams, Greg Cypher, Alcazar, La Language Arts. All my guys here back at home. Yeah, yeah,
So
Hey,
yeah, yeah.
thank you. So
okay, shoot, I gotta shout out everybody. Shout out Leaf, shout out MC Till, shout out Kilo and Rap Camp. Let's go, Creme. We got Skateland remix dropping.
ooh,
Need to come on that. Yeah, I mean, I'm dropping all the juice. Like, come on, shout out Stretch Money, Valid, everybody in the D. Shout out the whole Rap Camp. Axel. I mean, I just like, what else can I say? It's so many people that I don't even want to just going down the list of everybody. But if you out there and you watching, you like, tape delay, major shout out to you. We got the vinyl on the way, so just hang tight. You know what I'm saying? We're about to keep dropping visuals. Make sure you go check out more bling that we just dropped. We just dropped back up last month. And then we got Tripping and Live from Jump. So we already got 4 visuals for tape delay. And let us know if y'all want us to do another one. That's really what I want to know.
Real.
yeah, I like the Illmatic length. That for me is important to have that savory moment where I can bounce this, listen to it, like I said, back and forth. So I appreciate it. But I think it's time. We need a next Jammies 2 out of here. So I'm making the call. Everybody go in the box and DM and be like, we need the Jammies 2. We need a tape delay 2 and 3 and then just install.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I want to shout out you both for coming through again, Ilajide and Def Dee, for dropping gems with us. 2 legends repping Detroit, Seattle, LA, New York, in between. So I want to give
Yeah.
big love to all the hip hop communities that hold us down, but in those cities between LA, New York, Seattle, and of course Detroit, the heart of raw sound. My city, DC. I have special
Let's
love for
go.
special salute to Mellow Music Group too, because so many of all of our cities are in within that structure, and consistently putting out to you both for timeless music that keeps the culture alive. Shout out to my fellow host MC Till and holding down his duties in Cincy. And at the Everybody's Hip Hop crew for staying true to the boom bap spirit. We got the boom bap volume coming up next for 2024. We're all writing like every day, writing our articles. So y'all about to get the countdown of the top 100 albums. So get ready. And all to our listeners and our creatives, listen, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or in between, keep pushing the culture forward. Do not, and I tell you, do not put people in tombs before it is their time. I want to give a shout out to the living, first of all, okay, to DJ Clark Kent, and then also a shout out and prayers for the spirit of Ka, who's one of my biggest inspirations, and as a professional, as a personal person, just everything. So stay locked in because we've celebrated the essence of hip hop, and we will be back again. So yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much
It
for
means a
tuning
lot.